Welcome to That's Not Cinema, a movie podcast, a reason to talk about movies. I'm your host, Jeffrey Hemingway. Today's movie is Marriage Story. And today I am joined by a special guest, Frez. You want to say hi?
What's up? What's up?
I love this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it. And I think you're the perfect person to talk about it with, so I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Take it away, Marty.
Of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks. That's a different experience. And it's not even. I was saying earlier, it's not cinema. It's something else. Not cinema. It's something else. Not cinema. It's something else. Not cinema. It's something else.
All right. So, Marriage Story. Let's drop some info. Written and directed by Noah Baumbach, starring Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. Runtime of 136 minutes. It's like 2 hours and 12 minutes. Released in theaters limitedly November 6, 2019. Released on streaming on Netflix specifically December 6, 2019. Distributed by Netflix. Reportedly costs $19 million to make. Box office is pretty pointless because it's Netflix. And Rotten Tomatoes score, which means everything and nothing, is critic score 95 and audience score 85. Do you care about Rotten Tomatoes? Like, do you use it when you go in to watch movies?
For a really long time, I used to always hear people review movies and go on there and talk about that, like reviews and like the different, I think there's another one that's known. I can't think of the name.
Metacritic?
Yeah, there you go. That one. Yeah. It depends because I have to say many times there have been movies that were reviewed at like an average score, below average, and
Right.
I would watch it and it would be an amazing movie. So,
Yeah.
so it's like, it's hit or miss really.
Yeah. That tends to happen all the time. So like most of the time you just got to kind of go with your gut. I use them more as like kind of like a census, basically. Like I like it that it just gathers a bunch of reviews, and then I like actually go and read the actual reviews instead of just look at the number.
True.
So that's why I kind of like it, because it's like kind of it's a one-stop shop for like all the reviews, and I could just read them right there.
Yeah.
So I like it for that. Okay, let's get into the summary of Marriage Story. A stage director and his actor wife struggle through a grueling coast-to-coast divorce that pushes them to their personal and creative extremes. Noah Baumbach's incisive and compassionate look at a marriage breaking up and a family staying together. Okay, I actually really like that summary. I think it really sums up the movie perfectly.
I agree with you 100%.
So let's get into your expectations, if you had any headed into it.
I had watched of course, a short, Netflix does a really great job of giving you like a preview and picking out like, the great scenes in the movie so that you can actually like get, the feel for it and actually want to watch it. And I just remember watching the preview and immediately thinking, I'm not going to watch this movie because I'm going to be sobbing.
Yeah.
And, it's so relatable. It's, one of those things that, whether you're married or not, you have either had a really bad breakup where you can relate to having, arguments and, that scene will get you, or, even just a scene of, being a mom, for me, that of course is like another thing, there's a lot of pressure and being a mom. So
right, it hit home.
Yeah. So at first I was definitely not going to watch the movie.
I think you weren't alone in that, by the way.
I'm sure. But I will add that I love Scarlett Johansson, like love.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like think she's amazing. Loved her in Lucy.
Agreed.
All the scenes that she's played, like she's just an amazing actress. So it was one of those things that I just could not pass up.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was extremely excited about this movie. largely because of Scarlett Johansson. Like you, I adore her, and I think she's amazing. And then Adam Driver is just a phenomenal actor, and like anything he's in, I want to see. So you combine those two, and then with Noah Baumbach, the writer and director, knowing his kind of background and the type of movies that he puts out, I was like, okay, you get these two actors with that director, like that's something I that's a must see for me. So I was super
Right.
excited, and then I just find relationships like just super fascinating, and so to have somebody
Right.
like explore that in a movie form is it's always fascinating. You know, like those are some of the best parts. Like you can be watching, you know, Avengers Endgame, but the relationships between the characters is what kind of hooks you in. You know what I mean? So like
Absolutely.
a movie specifically focusing on that, I was all in, especially with these
Yeah.
performers. Okay, so let's. So I watched this at home, and I know you watched it at home. So you know they put it on in theaters, but like typically Netflix does that so they can get like there's like a certain qualification for like awards and everything where you have to be in theaters for like at least 2 weeks. So like that's what they did, and then they put it out for Netflix. But like how was your experience watching it from home?
I mean, I enjoyed watching it from home because, you know, for one, I think that there's nothing like being in your house,
Yeah, for
in your
sure.
bed, chilling, having a movie that you know, are definitely interested in and, you know, has your favorite actors and you get to just watch it from the comfort of your home. So for me, it was great. I really was excited to have some, you know, me time and just, you know, watch a film that I knew was going to be good just because of the actors, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience, you know. Watching it from home was awesome. I don't know that it would have been the same in theaters, you know. I think some movies are better in an intimate setting than, you know, actually in a public
For
setting,
sure.
you know. So, you know, I love watching action movies that are fully packed, all the superhero movies in theaters,
Yeah.
obviously, for the surround sound and everything that you're going to get. But, you know, movies that are, I feel like, more intimate are great to watch from home.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to see it in theaters, but I enjoyed watching it from home. And I guess what I enjoyed more was the I guess the immediacy of it, right? Like I woke up that morning and was just able to turn on Netflix and watch it. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
woke
good.
up, started scrolling Twitter, and then just started seeing a bunch of memes, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Marriage Story comes out today," and then just instantly I'm able to go and put it on and not have to pay any more than what I already pay for Netflix, you know, and
Right.
like you're just good. So I love the access, the instant access you can kind of
Yeah.
have towards it. So that was great. One of the few times that it's actually a lot of times, like I agree with you, like more intimate movies are almost a better watch at home than in a big theater.
Right.
What would be your tweet review or tweet length review? Like instant reviews, soon as this credit started rolling, what were you thinking?
You know, it was interesting because I really didn't think that the the way that the movie ended, like it really caught me off guard. You know, I'm very big on happy endings. I mean, who isn't?
Who? Yeah, everyone is.
So yeah, you know, so it wasn't. I can't even say it was disappointing because it wasn't disappointing, but I think it was really. It was one of those things where it was eye-opening to see a completely different, you know, ending to something that started off beautifully, you know, and then I feel like it got messy.
Yeah, for sure.
But even in the moments that it did get messy, it was actually like coming together at the same time. So it was one of those things that definitely sparked curiosity. You know, for a lot of reasons, but you know, towards the end when she goes to tie his shoe,
Yeah.
it just made me like chuckle because, you know, I've been in that type of relationship where, you know, the other person is just so codependent, or you become so codependent and you do everything for that person. You know them so well, like when she orders food for him. And so, yeah, it was really eye-opening for me to see a marriage that started off beautifully, got really messy, but then at the end, they weren't able to really reconcile and, you know, work through their marriage, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's actually, I'll get into more detail on that, because that last scene, I think is, I think it was perfect. I liked it a lot. But so I wrote a tweet review for it, so I'll go ahead and read that.
Okay.
Marriage Story is a devastatingly honest yet sentimental peer into marriage, divorce, and life after. Driver and Johansson are utterly sensational. Noah Baumbach's script is nothing short of genius. The credits started rolling, and I was like, I love that movie. Like instantly, I was just like, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Give them all the awards. The performances were like amazing, and I just think the direction and the script, everything was
it felt very like natural. It felt very raw, you know, like it was like, there's not one scene that I can think of that felt forced. Like everything just was so like natural, and it was very nostalgic too. You know, like there were moments where I could think of like when I was a child, you know, when he was playing with his toys, you know, their son, you know, and just little things like that, you know, where it felt very raw.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and it's somewhat kind of based on Noah Baumbach's real life relationship, divorce that he went through. Like it's not so in detail that everything's exactly it, but like obviously the way it was written and the way it was performed, like you can tell this was coming from experience, you know, like somebody actually went through this. Like that's the only way you could be able to portray that on the screen the way they were able to.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that was one of the things that was hooking them was that is it going to be, because you know we like gossip, you know, so like people were like, I wonder if this is going to be about him and his relationship, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't so much that like as an artist people put themselves in their art. It was in that way, and obviously him having gone through a divorce, he clearly put everything he had into this movie, and so like it wasn't that way, but it wasn't like a, you know, direct retelling of his actual story of any sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So what were your overall thoughts on the movie? Like just everything. How do you feel? And were you like a few days removed from watching it?
So I ended up watching it yesterday. I wanted it to be like fresh, you know, like so that I can remember all the scenes and everything like that. But it was one of those things where I think that it was able to not only remind me of my childhood, because I come from a divorced family, you know, so there was a lot of things that reminded me of like, you know, they didn't even go into like custody, you know, that much, but I remember going through that whole drama when I was a kid, you know, and I was just like maybe 11 when, you know, my parents were getting divorced and, you know, having to fight for custody for me. And, you know, and it was one of those things where watching the movie, it was able to remind me of how much I hated that process, how much I hated divorce.
Right.
You know, how much I, hated that my parents were not together, really, you know, like it was just such a shitty feeling, you know,
right, 'cause it's all you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so I think that it was very relatable for me personally. I've never been married, but I was in a long-term relationship where it felt like a marriage.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of the things that I noticed were things that I could definitely understand from both sides, from the guy perspective, like she thought he was really selfish and, he thought that she didn't know what she wanted really. And,
it all sounds too familiar.
Yeah, and it was crazy. And, even the part where I feel like they didn't really dive in too much to the fact that he was having an affair. Like, I feel like that was something that they touched the surface of.
Yeah.
But, knowing that, like, why wasn't that a big deal? You know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, he cheated, and not only did he cheat, it was with his secretary or who...
Well, I think she was like the stage manager for his
theater. Stage manager. Yeah. So, like, she was around, he slept with her, and then when she confronted him about it, like, I was just completely taken back of how non-apologetic he was. Like, he was like, you hacked into my emails. Like, that was all he could focus on. Yeah. Like, like, it was just so familiar to me. And, but the reality was that he really was the one that was cheating. And even when that night that he calls her and she ends up kissing the guy in the car, like, and telling him, like, all we're doing.
Here's what I want you to only do, okay?
What?
I want you to finger me.
What?
Just finger me.
Okay.
That's all we're gonna do, just fingering. Okay? I'm changing my whole fucking life.
It's like, we're not having sex. Like, it just, honestly, like, it just showed even her character. You know what I mean? Like, she had a perfect opportunity to, just get laid and go crazy and, and do worse things, really, but I think that she was focused at some point. She was just focused on trying to be better, in some way. And I honestly do believe that she probably didn't know what she wanted, because the fact that she left, she was able to just get up, leave, go to LA.
Right.
And, and then seeing, like, once she got the lawyer, seeing, like, how far, like, I could see her second guessing every time when she got the envelope. And, there were so many scenes where she was just so troubled and confronted with the reality of, oh shit, I moved way too quickly.
Yeah.
And so that was really the part for me where I was like, what would have happened if she really did at the very beginning where she was in therapy, share her feelings,
right?
And try at that time when, before everything got ugly. Overall, it was like a lesson because you can take that and apply it to any relationship where before things explode, you always have a chance to try working through it.
Right,
and there's always like, yeah, there's always a way, it might not always be, that you're not going to get divorced, but, maybe they didn't have to do everything so quickly, and even how quickly she got a boyfriend and, how he was around. And I don't know what was the time lapse of,
it
the movie.
It seemed like it, I'm going to guess like it had to be like a couple months, I'm going to assume. Or
right.
I want to give it maybe like 6 to 9 months, like the whole movie takes place, I want to say.
Right.
But even that may be pretty quick. You know what I mean? Like after you get a divorce, But I guess I took it more as, especially like when it comes to that scene at the party and then she goes to the car with the guy. Like I took it as more like that was a moment she got to take control of what she actually wanted instead of I'll just wait and see what Charlie wants. This was like no, you just finger me and that's it. That's all we're doing. I'm telling you what's happening right here in this moment because this is what I want,
Right. Right.
And I think, and so that may also go towards with the boyfriend. She's like, I don't need to wait. Maybe I can already go ahead and move on. And maybe it helped her move on faster,
Right. Right. Absolutely. But, I think that even in that scene, taking that scene into consideration where she moves on, but then she, towards the end of the movie, is just her facial expressions as, she tells him, hey, you know what? Why don't you take him? You know, take him for the rest of the day. Like, yeah, it's my day, but take him. And then she sees his shoes untied and then ends up tying his shoe. Like, she didn't have to do any of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're trying to move on, like, why try? You know, even in those moments where you shouldn't, you know, even show consideration or anything,
right,
you know,
right.
like she could have just been so cold, you know, but it just goes to show that she really didn't move on completely. Like she was trying to convince herself that she was moving on because there was somebody there. But like, even when they were reading the letter, like right before that scene, when he finds his son's reading the letter that she wrote,
what she
you
didn't
know,
want to read
and
at the beginning.
right. And she starts crying and he's crying. And like, I think that even in that moment, it goes to show that she hasn't moved on and she hasn't healed. Because usually in therapy, they teach you, like, when your emotions come out, they come out, like they're real, you know, they're happening in that moment. And I think that, you know, she probably didn't anticipate that that letter was ever going to be read by him, you know, because, you know, she obviously wrote the letter, you know?
Yeah, because in the beginning she's like, I don't like what I wrote.
Right.
Yeah, she's like, I don't read it. I'm not reading. I don't like what I wrote.
Yeah, which was amazing. Like everything she wrote was exactly what he probably needed to hear, you know, which goes back to what I was saying before, you know, like if she would have just sat there and read that letter, bro, she wouldn't be going through this.
Okay. So my overall thoughts, I absolutely, I love this movie. I think it's, I think it's one of Noah Baumbach's best. I mean, I didn't expect any less coming from him. And then the performances were just off the charts in this one between Scarlett and Adam Driver. They were just phenomenal. I
agree.
But since we were teasing it a bit, we can go ahead and get into what our best moments were. And for me, I'm gonna piggyback on what you were talking about a little bit ago. The last scene.
We were gonna bring him to dinner, but he's so wiped out. I'm gonna take him.
It's your night.
I know.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll drop back in the morning.
Yeah, text me when you're up to figure something out. You're gonna go with your dad, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Of her saying, hey, you know, why don't you, we were going to take him to dinner, but why don't you take him tonight? You know, I know it's my night, but you can take him. And then she, you know, and they share the hug, like the three of them hugging together. And then she goes and ties his shoe. I think for me, it wrapped up the whole, it kind of put a nice bow on the entire movie. And essentially like kind of what the summary said, like we watched this marriage break down and break apart, but we watched the family stay together.
Yeah.
And I think that was like,
good.
That was perfect. Cause like the movie could have easily been called Divorce Story. You know what I mean? And like the ending could have been terrible, you know, and he could have been, you know, out in New York and never getting to see his kid again. But instead it's called Marriage Story, and you get to see the story of this marriage, and it's, you know, you get to see it in its height and then see it fall apart, but then yet see how much they still very much care for each other, and then care enough for each other for their kid as well. And, you know, that they're at least both equally willing to, you know, fight for their son. Even though it got a little messy with the lawyers, but that's just kind of what happens when you involve the lawyers. But no, I think that, the best moment of the movie for me, it just so happened to be right at the end, and her tying the shoe. It was almost, it's like hammer meet nail. Like I put a bow on this movie. Here's here's her tying the knot on the shoe. It was perfect. But what was your best moment?
Man, there's a couple that come to mind, but I think that if I had to pick one, probably the scene where he's reading the letter.
Okay, keep going.
He could remember all the inside jokes. He's extremely organized and thorough. He's very clear about what he wants, unlike me, who can't always tell. I fell in love with him 2 seconds after I saw him. And I'll never stop loving him, even though it doesn't make sense anymore.
You know, I can just relate because, I don't know, like it's one of those things, you know, you write something, but then you don't get to give it to that person.
Yeah.
You know, they never got to read it. And then it's like somehow they get a hold of it, you know, and it's like about them. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
You know? And then that it's just that deep. It's so profound that it brings both of them to tears. And, you know, and it was things that he needed to hear that maybe, you know, yeah, he probably should have heard them sooner, but he still got to hear them and, you know, realize like how much she appreciated him and, you know, saw things in him that maybe he didn't see for himself, you know? So,
right. Because in the process, he could have thought like, as ugly as it was getting, she was like, man, maybe she really hated me, because he hadn't heard those words, but he finally got to read them himself and know how she actually felt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I wasn't picking the end, I would. That's a great moment as well, because like I said, like we've been talking about it, it's a beautiful callback to the beginning of the movie where she didn't want to read it and didn't want him to hear it, and then finally, you know, adds an extra layer that it starts out through the son and him reading it.
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? And then them both kind of coming together and all being in the same room and hearing those words, you know, and hearing how much, you know, you just like, you can feel the love and the care, you know what I mean? Within that moment. And, yeah, but that's a great moment. I like that one. That's a great moment. So now we can get into favorite scene. What do you got? What was your favorite scene or scenes? You can give me like runner-ups if you have them too.
I like the scene where the lawyer, he ends up hiring the other lawyer that he originally didn't want to hire.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Fuck me. What? Who's that?
Oh, Charlie shouldn't have done this.
What do you mean? Where's Bert?
This means that everything we've agreed upon now is off the table.
We've got LA, right?
Not with Jay Murata representing him. This is a street fight now. And I'm gonna have to ask for things that we wouldn't normally ask for. The system rewards bad behavior.
It's like I genuinely was like I was cheering him on, to be honest, because I felt bad that he had this really nice lawyer. Like he was trying to not have a fight, not come at her like strong. But then when he walks in and then like her lawyer ends up telling her like, oh, this is a fight now. We're going to war now. Like, you know, it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, that was a great moment because he calls back to it later, right before the big or during the big argument, where he tells her, I needed my own asshole.
You should have fired Bert.
I needed my own asshole.
Yeah,
because he was getting rolled over, you know, like he was
for sure.
Like the guy he had was super nice and like, you know, I'm sure he appreciated everything he was telling him, but he was just like, man, like we're getting bodied in this entire thing, and I need some firepower, you know. Yeah, no, that was that was great. My favorite scene, I'll give, so runner up, I'm gonna say is the first kind of moment where she meets Nora, and then she's kind of explaining, you know, Nora's like, you know, start from the beginning, you know, she's like, start where the beginning is for you.
You know, I just watched that documentary on George Harrison, and I thought, own it. Just own it. Be like George Harrison's wife. Being a wife and a mother, that's enough. Yeah, then I realized I couldn't remember her name. So, this pilot came along. It shot in LA, and it paid so much. And it was like there was this little lifeline thrown to me. Here's this bit of Earth that's yours. And I was embarrassed about it in front of him, but it was also like, yeah, this is who I am. And this is what I'm worth. And maybe it's stupid, but at least it's mine. And if he had just taken me into a big hug and said, baby, I'm so excited for your adventure. Of course I want you to have a piece of Earth that's yours. And, well, then we might not be getting divorced.
And then, you know, and then she kind of goes on and just kind of walks you through the relationship through her perspective. I thought that was amazing. Like, that scene made me, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, Scarlett's coming with it. Okay. Like this, like she is performing the hell out of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really good scene. And then another runner up would obviously be the big blow up fight.
I can't believe I have to know you forever!
Oh, you're fucking insane! And you're fucking winning!
Are you kidding me? I wanted to be married. I'd already lost. You didn't love me as much as I loved you.
What does that have to do with LA? What?
It was great. Like I was, I don't know if this sounds bad, but like I had the biggest smile on my face as I'm watching them blow up at each other.
No, it's funny that you say that. Like, I was cheesing the whole time because, like, it was just so great, like, to see two people, like, lash it out, like, lay everything out.
Yeah.
Because how many times, like, did they not? You know, like, even the small scene where she's yelling at him on the phone about, you know, him having the affair, like, that was nothing. She hung up. But, like, this is, like, they're both face to face and just speaking their mind, you know? So I agree.
Yeah,
it was great.
it was like, it was all the build up and they finally got to erupt at each other. It was great.
For sure.
It was wonderful.
For sure.
But you actually just mentioned it. My favorite scene was the moment at the night after, or not the night, as they're coming back from the second Halloween, and then he gives her a call.
Hello?
Are you moving out here?
Did you find a lawyer?
Yes. Henry says you're moving here?
Have your lawyer call Nora.
I want to talk about it as us.
Who the fuck is us?
Let's just get in a room, you and me. That's what we always said we'd do. It's not up to them. It's up to us. It's our divorce.
They say I could later sue them for malpractice.
What am I walking into?
What are you walking into?
Yes, what the fuck is going on?
I read your fucking emails, Charlie. I read them all.
When?
I don't know, recently. You're a fucking liar. You fucked Marianne.
After I was sleeping on the
All this bullshit about working on us. You know what? I have been working. I've been doing the work alone.
How did you read my emails?
I hacked into your account, you dumb fuck.
I think that's
So
illegal.
Give me this shit about being surprised about LA. Surprised? I have my own opinion.
How do you even know how to do something like that?
I want things that aren't what you want because surprise, you were fucking another lady.
I think you're conflating two different things. Marianne has nothing to do with LA.
I am conflating, motherfucker. You watched me conflate.
And that fight right there, that was my favorite scene, because I just like that it was finally like, okay, enough with the bullshit. I read your fucking emails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was because like throughout the movie, you know, especially like when that was another good scene also. When the sister was trying to serve him the papers.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. You're served.
What did you do?
Nothing. I don't know. I can't lie. You're being served. You guys are getting I don't know. I'm sorry.
I just love how awkward it was. But like they were still kind of tiptoeing, you know, around how they actually felt. And then that call kind of starts, you know, like if we're on a roller coaster, we're heading up, you know what I mean? Like right at this moment. And that call really starts the whole argument. I really, really love that scene. Just they're back and forth, and it's just like, again, they're just finally saying, how they actually felt and the things they'd been kind of hiding from each other. And it was like, no, I read your fucking emails, man. like you think this is all about you? No. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
So that was actually my favorite scene. What about favorite lines? Did you have any favorite lines?
You know, there was a part where he was honest when he told her, when they were having the heated argument, and he told her, like, you don't even know what you want.
You gaslighted me. You're a fucking villain.
Oh, you want to present yourself as a victim because it's a good legal strategy? Fine. But you and I both know you chose this life. You wanted it until you didn't. You used me so you could get out of LA.
I didn't use you.
You did, and then you blamed me for it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like so relatable.
Yeah.
For so long, I didn't know what I wanted.
Right.
So I was just like, yo, like, she does it. Like, go easy on her. Like, I just felt so bad. Like, she was just, it's true. Like, she was just trying so hard,
Yeah.
But, him just confronting her with, like, her own medicine, like, just telling her, like, yeah, you don't know what you want, And then, like, everything she said to him was honest, too. But, like, that was my favorite.
Yeah, that was one I really liked from the argument was when they throw each other's parents at each other.
You're being so much like your father.
Do not compare me to my father.
I didn't compare you to him. I said you were acting like him.
You're exactly like your mother. Everything you're complaining about her, you're doing. You're suffocating Henry.
First of all, I love my mother. She was a wonderful mother.
Just repeating what you told me.
Secondly, how dare you compare my mothering to my mother? I may be like my father, but I am not like my mother.
You are! And you're like my father. You're also like my mother. You're all the bad things about all of these people.
Oh yeah,
because that always that's always relatable. Like when someone like the last thing you want to do is be like your parents.
Oh my god, yeah.
Or be compared to your parents. She was like,
Hell
"You're comparing my mothering to my mother." That was that was a good scene. So I had I had a couple. So there's the moment when he has the nice lawyer. And they're at they're at their office and they're just discussing before they get to court or trying to settle before, so they wouldn't have to go to court. And then they go into the little private room when things start to feel like, oh, we're just losing this right now. Can we take a moment? And then Bert, the lawyer, is he says to him, if I was representing you, and then Charlie's like, you are representing me.
Listen. If I were representing you...
You are representing me.
Right. No, of course. No.
that was great. And then also he has the moment where he's like, we can just settle on LA. The space is great. And he's like, fuck the space, Bert. Fuck the space.
You heard what Amir said about the space.
Fuck the space, Bert. Fuck the space.
Everybody kept saying that.
Yep, exactly.
Oh my god.
And then all the lines from the lawyers, like the original lawyer he went to that he ended up keeping when it's him and the lawyer's like assistant, I think, and the lawyer's assistant is like, you know what they say about criminal lawyers?
You know what people say? Criminal lawyers see bad people at their best. Divorce lawyers see good people at their worst.
I was like, oh, that's a fucking line right there. I was like, man, if that ain't the truth. And then from the scene you liked a lot, where Nora is telling her, right when the original lawyer comes in and he's like, oh, this is a street fight. She's like, I'm gonna have to ask for some things that we weren't asking for before. This is gonna get dirty. The system rewards bad behavior. And I was like, oh man, like yeah, like this is it. Like this, like this is why this shit gets so ugly. But my pick is actually Nora's whole father speech.
Let's face it, the idea of a good father was only invented like 30 years ago. Before that, fathers were expected to be silent and absent and unreliable and selfish. And we can all say we want them to be different. But on some basic level, we accept them. We love them for their fallibilities, but people absolutely don't accept those same failings in mothers. We don't accept it structurally, and we don't accept it spiritually, because the basis of our Judeo-Christian whatever is Mary, mother of Jesus, and she's perfect. She's a virgin who gives birth, unwaveringly supports her child, and holds his dead body when he's gone. And the dad isn't there. He didn't even do the fucking. God is in heaven. God is the Father, and God didn't show up. So you have to be perfect, and Charlie can be a fuck-up, and it doesn't matter. You will always be held to a different, higher standard. And it's fucked up, but that is the way it is.
When she's explaining, because they're asking her, you know, how she would be kind of questioned once they get to court about how she is as a mother. And then Nora goes into like, you know, here's the thing. You have to be held to this exceptional level because you're compared to Mary, you know, of all people. And she goes on to that whole spiel. That was my favorite. That was my favorite. I love that. I love that whole speech. That was, it was great. Laura Dern was phenomenal in this movie. On top of like Scarlett and Adam, she was great. The lawyers both were amazing.
Oh yeah.
So who gave your favorite performance out of the entire movie? It's hard to choose.
Favorite performance. I know that is hard, especially because there's so many good moments. Probably his name's Adam Driver.
Yes, Adam Driver.
Yeah, so probably him, because the scene where he cuts himself.
That was great.
Oh man, my favorite part was when he was, because I'm a parent and I can so relate to this. When you just try to keep your composure for your kid.
Yes.
Like, and he's on the floor and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just tired."
Dad, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just tired.
Like, no, homie, you're about to die.
Like, yeah, and then he rolls over so he doesn't see the blood.
Yeah, that was like,
yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
That was very epic.
He was, Adam was phenomenal in this movie. And he got properly awarded, I think, this past award season. Now, granted, Joaquin Phoenix won everything for Joker. And I think it was deserved. He was brilliant. He was brilliant in Joker. But I think, man, I for a minute there, I was really making the argument for Adam possibly winning the award for Best Actor. I just think, because here's kind of what happens. A lot of the times they'll reward the most acting instead of the best acting. Right. And so like, and not to knock Joaquin, because he's one of my favorite actors, period. And he was phenomenal. And I think that award was deserved. But like being Joker, he was doing the most acting. He was doing the most. With Adam, it was, he came off as such a real person. And there's more subtleties to that performance where it's like, it's not the most, obviously you have the blow up scene, the fight scenes and whatnot. But like in the moment where you just said, like, just that simple, no, I'm just tired, kid. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, just small moments like that. Like obviously people can see that and be like, oh, well, that's not too much. That doesn't look too exceptional. But like when you're watching the entire performance and everything he was able to bring, you know, to the screen, like he was phenomenal. Like he was just simply phenomenal.
And you know, and even like that, like you said, the whole entire scene, because I mean, from him getting cut to opening the door, him dripping on the carpet,
like he's so tall and towering, and he's like awkwardly over her.
That was hilarious, bro. Grabbing all the paper towels, and he's just like, when he was like letting it run under the sink, I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's trying to put the Band-Aid on, and I'm like, I just rewatched it, and I'm looking at the scene. I'm like, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna stay on there. This is not gonna work. Why are you doing this?
Exactly, bro. Oh man, it was too much.
He's great. He's great. Okay, so but since you picked Adam, I'm gonna go ScarJo. I mean they were. I don't know if you could have picked two better actors to do these roles. I think they were both amazing. And ScarJo is funny enough. She got nominated for 2 awards. She got nominated for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. And rarely do you get nominated for 2. I think that's like the 12th time in like history that's happened. Yeah, so it was pretty historic what she did. The other movie she got nominated for was Jojo Rabbit. She was a supporting actor in that. She was phenomenal in Jojo Rabbit. All in the same year to give you Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit and what she gave us in Avengers Endgame. Just like what a year for her. So yeah, she was phenomenal, and like I said, that early scene where she's really breaking down, the relationship from her perspective, I loved it. Like that, from there I was like, okay, I see what kind of movie we're in, and she's coming with it. And then Adam brought his A game too, and it was just 2 top-notch performers just giving you their best on the screen. And they just both felt like, and you've been hitting on this the whole time. It's so relatable, and they like the performances have to be that good for you to be able to sit back and be able to relate with both of them. And they both were just phenomenal as far as their performances were. So yeah, both of them across the board, just high praise.
Yes.
Okay, so with all the praise we've been giving it, sometimes there's a little bit of things we don't like. What was your least favorite part of the movie? If you have,
yeah, I think I thought about one scene where I could tell that what's the female lawyer's name?
Oh, Nora.
Nora, yeah. When Scar first walks into her office, like. And then, like, she sits down and she brings her the tea and the biscotti and, like, all the stuff that she's bringing her.
Yeah.
Like, obviously she, like, wants to represent her because she's going to get money. You know what I mean? And it just made me feel a little uncomfortable because it just reminded me of moments where you've been in places and they just want your money.
For sure.
For sure. And it just was like one of those things where she was like, she felt not genuine, and she was just like her facial expressions, like when Scar was speaking and just seeing her face and her telling like, I've been there. Like, and now, I'm married, and, like, it was just like, oh, like, it just made me cringe. Like, I just did not like that.
You felt a little icky. Like, like you didn't know whether you can trust her all the way.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that. I can definitely see that. For me, least favorite part of the movie was the kid. Oh my God, he was. Now I'm sure this is how the director was telling him to act, but he was so fucking annoying. Oh my God, I was just like, bless all the parents. I'm glad I'm not a parent in this moment. I don't know how you guys do it.
Oh my God,
oh boy, I was like, this kid is like, I'm like, and I know he's like 8 or whatever, and like, I'm like, man, like your dad's going through something, man. Like, pick up the candy, like, like you know what I mean. And he's just like, and he's a kid. He's a kid. I get it. But I was like, oh, this little shit.
And it's interesting. There's another part in the movie now that you say the kid, like the scene where like Scar just like babies him, like she just. You know what I mean? Like, she's just too, like, when he was pooping and he was like, are you going to reward him for pooping? Like, like, I thought that was, like, a little overboard. Like,
for sure.
Like, why are you babying this kid who should be using the bathroom by now? Like, he's grown as hell. He doesn't have any special needs. Like, why are we rewarding for every little thing, you know? So, like, I question her parenting skills a little bit.
This is why he called it out during the argument.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was definitely speaking some truths there. I loved the part when he because I was like waiting for him to snap on his damn kid, and then when he finally snapped on him when he was late from the flight, And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to go. I would go." He's like, "Get in the fucking car." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Fucking finally, man."
Why fuck?
Something sharp.
Can't I stay with Mom?
No.
Why not?
It's my time with you. I just flew 3,000 miles.
I don't want to.
We get in the fucking car. I'm sorry, but Jesus, get in the fucking car.
Like, jeez, somebody yell at this damn kid. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, you could tell he's spoiled for sure, 100%.
Yes, definitely. He was definitely a little spoiled brat. But you know, that's no shade to the little actor. I'm sure he was great, but I was just like,
Yeah.
I rolled my eyes every time he came on screen. I was like, this kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next question is, who won the movie, or what won the movie? Did you understand this one?
What do you mean?
Like the question, like you understood what it was asking?
No, I don't think I understood that question.
Okay.
Now that I think about it.
No,
Yeah.
it's cool. Like, it's cool.
Okay.
I always ask because it's like it's a little unorthodox. So I kind of bootlegged it from one of my favorite movie podcasts called The Rewatchables, and that's something they kind of use there. So basically, it's kind of like, so you can look at it at two perspectives. I did a podcast on Uncut Gems like last week with my friend Rachel, and she looked at it as who won the movie as far as story wise or character wise, like who within the movie kind of, I guess, came out on top. But the other way you can also look at it is like outside of the movie, as far as like if you thought an actor in the movie came out on top, or the director as a whole came out on top because he directed it and wrote it. So you can kind of take it anywhere you want. It's kind of, you know, or like, for example, I think I did a podcast on the Pixar movie Onward, and like for me, what won the movie was brotherhood. You know what I mean? So like, it doesn't have to specifically be any one thing. You can kind of make it what you want. Basically.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. Okay. So if that's the case, then I would say, I feel like they definitely were able to somehow coexist. You know, despite everything that, you know, they were going through, like they were able to, like you said at the very end, be a family.
Yeah.
Just that was it, you know. And like for me, that's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah,
you know,
because it takes two.
I mean, absolutely, you know. And I think that they were able to put their differences to the side. They were able to be mature and still be there, be parents, and, you know, go through all the BS and whatever. And they, like, in the end, they made it. Like, they did it.
Right,
you know?
yeah, they
So I feel
persevered.
like, yeah, for sure. So I think that they won for sure. Like that,
the family.
they were able to coexist. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The family one, you know, like that's the hardest thing that we see in real life right now.
Yeah,
like people
100%.
can't, you know, like it's just impossible, whether it's the parent, you know, the mom, the dad, whatever, you know? So that was pretty cool how that came together.
That's a great answer. I'm going to look outside of the movie, and I'm going to give it to Noah Baumbach, because we haven't spoken about him enough. I think his writing ability. So coming from what I know of him, like all the little moments and all the little ticks, all the little wipes of the mouth, or the shuffles of the hair, of the, you know, tug of the shirts, like he writes all of that shit in there. And so for like, you know, for it to come off as so natural as it does, obviously it takes great performers, but it also takes, you know, a lot of times the actors will say, like, all of it comes easier if you have a brilliant writer. And I think in this instance, they 100% had a brilliant writer in Noah Baumbach. So I'm going to give it to Noah Baumbach for me. Noah Baumbach won the movie for me. It was one of my favorites. I loved it. Like, I loved it. It was my number 3. Yeah, it was my number 3 of my top 10 last year. So
Nice.
Yeah, I adored this movie so much. So that's who I'm going to give it to. Okay, and so now to the last question, which is the namesake of the podcast. So, Frez, was Marriage Story that cinema or that's not cinema? By the way, that cinema is good. And that's not cinema is bad. So
that's for sure, 100% hands down. It was cinema.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
For sure.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And this goes specifically to so that quote is from Martin Scorsese, and his definition of cinema is human beings trying to convey emotional and psychological experiences to another human being. And I think that's this movie in a nutshell. Like,
oh yeah,
that's exactly what this is. So that is so Marriage Story is cinema.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. We did it.
Yay.
That is it. Do you have any final thoughts before we go?
No, I mean, I think that it was just such an amazing movie that can make you feel everything. And I think that that's like the main goal of a movie being cinema, is just like, if you can get all those emotions in one, like, that's a hit, you know?
Yeah.
So it was able to do all of that for me, and it was just phenomenal. People got to watch it, review it, and share it, and make more money. So yeah, it was good. It was awesome.
Okay, awesome. I am super glad that you came on here and did this with me. I think you're the perfect person for it. So thank you for coming on.
Of course, I got you.
All right. So as always, if a movie makes you feel anything at all, that's cinema. Peace.
Of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks. That's a different experience, and it's not even. I was saying earlier, it's not cinema, it's something else. Not cinema, it's something else. Not cinema, it's something else. Not cinema, it's something else.